Welcome to the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to our Week 13 Steelers preview. I am your host, Jim Sella, in studio with the best co-hosts in the world, Big Easy, and producer extraordinaire, Jay Dash. Thank you guys for tuning into the spread. Thank you guys for joining me on the spread. I am so full of turkey, I could probably fly away.
How was that gravy?
Gravy all day.
With those buttered biscuits, too, man.
Believe it.
Oh, I even got down with a little bit of mac and cheese yesterday, and I was feeling it. 5 mac and cheese.
I don't even know what the term for that is. That's just outrageous.
It's 5 mac, dude. It was great.
Mac and 5 cheese.
5 mac was, no one knows about it.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers are off their bye week this week. They take on the New Orleans Saints at Heinz Field. It's good to see the Steelers back at home. We all know how much better Ben Roethlisberger plays at home. They've played 3 games since 2001, the Steelers and the Saints. New Orleans leads the series at 2-1. Their last game was in 2010 on Halloween, and the Saints beat us 20-10.
Where was that game at?
At New Orleans, I'm guessing, the way this is worded.
I don't know. New Orleans right now, yeah, they're 4-7, but they're still in the division hunt, so they're not gonna give up yet.
Which is a horse of another color.
But listen, they lost their last 3 games, and they were all home games, so they're not even looking good at home right now. So on the road, I expect them to be even worse. And I look, and they're 1-4 on the road. So it looks like the Saints aren't a good team at all, and the Steelers should take care of business. But we all know that's probably not going to be what happens.
The Saints' offense is still rolling. The Steelers have the NFL's best offense at home at 447.2 yards per game. The Saints have the second-ranked offense. It only falls to third on the road. They still average 418 yards, even though they're 1-4. So that says to me that the offense is still in check, but the defense is just bleeping bleep.
When I look at the past 4 games, though, they haven't scored more than 28 points in any of those 4. So they're not putting up the big points. They're doing what the Steelers were doing of early in the season and putting up a lot of yardage, but not finding a way to put it in the end zone.
Well, one of the best news for the Steeler fans and Steeler defense, and a bad news for a Saints fan, is Pittsburgh's going to have Ike Taylor back this week, Troy Polamalu back this week.
About that life.
Yeah, and Ryan Shazier might also be back this week.
Ryan is about that.
They're all about that life. Ike Teasel, I love you, dude. You should be following us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. As much as you're not the best defensive back in the league, you're the best defensive back on our team. You're definitely going to make it a lot harder to just throw against us all day. He was always able to shut down a receiver. He couldn't catch anything.
He used to shut down guys. Not
catch,
every week, but he did shut.
Yeah, he kept Chad Johnson in check the whole time he played in Cincinnati. He might have only had 1 or 2 big games against the Steelers.
There's nothing wrong with you, Ike. You do you.
Dude, Ike's about that life. He used to try to bang some girl I used to work with. It's pretty funny.
Well, we seen him out at his show at the Arena Sports Grill. It was a good night. We had a good time.
They need this defense healthy because New Orleans can put up points quick. Yeah, like I said, they haven't scored 30 points in their past 4 weeks, but we all know.
That just means they're due.
Yeah, and they need to find a way to stop Jimmy Graham.
And Drew Brees is the exact kind of quarterback that hurts the Steelers. A player who just drops back and throws bombs down the field, we're not that bad against that because we are getting our pass rush going a little bit better. But Brees takes 1, maybe 2 steps out from center, and the ball's out of his hand already. And when you're that quick with the release, the Steelers' defense can't get to the quarterback, so it nullifies their pass rush, and the defensive backs aren't strong enough, play-wise, not physically-wise, to keep up with the receivers for New Orleans.
Well, like Dash was saying, his number 1 weapon is Jimmy Graham. My sources inside of the Saints locker room say that Jimmy Graham's still not 100%. Maybe he's 80%, maybe he's 85%, but they still tell me that he's not 100%. And it show if you look and you really watch, it shows a little bit. So if we got anything going for us, it's still that Jimmy Graham is not 100% physically.
This is no easy game. If anybody thinks just because the Saints are 4-7, this is going to be a rollover game for the Steelers, they average the exact same amount of points offensively, and the Saints only give up 2.1 more points per game than the Steelers defense, and their record's 4-7 and ours is 7-4. So in the NFL, that's how close you are to being a sub 500 team. It only takes one bad play in a game to completely lose you that game, no matter how well you played.
If I can, it's the line between holding onto the ball or running into your player's ass and dropping the ball.
Believe it.
Let me tell you right now, it's not all about the passing game with the Saints. Mark Ingram has been a big part of this offense this year. He did miss time early in the season. I think he got hurt in the second game and then missed 3 or 4 weeks. But since he's came back, he's been a beast. He has 645 yards. He averages 4.3 a carry, and he has 6 touchdowns, which is something Le'Veon Bell can't say.
Hey, Le'Veon Bell's the running back I'm going to be watching. After the performance, not obviously this bye week, but last week before that, 200 yards, he found the end zone. Blunt's gone, so he's obviously now the extreme feature back in this offense. It's going to get cold, and there's going to be snow, and you're going to have to be able to get the ball in the end zone on the ground. So I think Le'Veon Bell, he has 951 yards. He's averaging 4.9 yards a carry. He's going to become a big part of this offense. Not that he already isn't.
You're right. Le'Veon Bell is a huge part of this offense, and we are going to need to get him going in this game. But we can. It doesn't have to be on the ground, I don't think, because we are going to have to pass in his game, and he is a huge part of the passing game along with Brown, and we're going to have to get Brian involved. And he's been huge at home this season. Like we've been saying, Roethlisberger has 18 touchdowns and 1 pick at home this year, and I think they only lost 1 home game, right?
Yes.
And they're 4-1 in their last 5, so the Steelers are heading in the right direction right now. I just think it's going to be more passing this week.
Oh, yeah, I'm not necessarily saying Bell is going to have to run this week to win the game, but he's going to have to be able to run in the end zone in December and come the playoffs. That's what I'm really worried about.
Well, what do you think about them coming off this bye? I mean, obviously, the bye this late in the year, all Yinzers were down with that.
Yeah, we loved that at the beginning of the year.
We like that bye, but what are those stats,
The
though?
Steelers are 6-1 after a bye week under Coach Tomlin. That's the 3rd best record in that time. Atlanta's 7-1, and Green Bay is also 7-1. They've already had their byes this week, obviously, or this year. So Pittsburgh, they got some rest. They've had time to prepare for this opponent. As much as we think Tomlin drops the ball sometimes in preparation for bad teams, the Saints, although the record says it, they are not a bad team. So I don't see that lag and that lull in the Steelers' focus this week against New Orleans.
So you think they'll come out ready to play? I can see them having no points at halftime.
The
Who,
Steelers?
The Steelers?
Yeah.
I think
Crazy, dude.
I think the Steelers offense is going to have a big week this week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout all the way.
Well, did you see the weather? Did you happen to see the weather report for Sunday at 1 o'clock? I seen rain at 50 degrees and rain is what I seen. There might be some sloppy conditions there. I don't know if Ben's going to be able to throw the ball.
Ben is a much better quarterback in those conditions than Drew Brees. So if that happens, I am actually more excited about
Yes.
the game.
Yeah,
Definitely,
you're right.
I agree.
You're right about that.
Breeze in conditions like that is terrible. He's used to that dome down in New Orleans where it's perfect temperature, perfect no wind. Big Ben thrives in bad weather. Remember the hurricane game? I know we barely won it, and we didn't really score a lot of points, but it was a flippin' hurricane, for God's sakes.
What, when we won 3-0?
Yeah.
Versus Miami, that was the worst. Remember when we went to the Miami game in the preseason easy,
Yeah,
and
lightning.
it got lightning, and we had to stand there and munch down
Soaking
Permani sandwiches, drunk off our asses.
Ugh.
That was the worst.
Well, I read an interesting stat. In the last 2 games, the Saints have allowed teams to convert 66.7% of 3rd and 7s or longer. And for the season, the Saints rank the worst in overall 3rd down conversion defense at 48%, and the worst in 3rd and 7 or longer defensive situations at 39%. So, I mean, the Saints defense has a hard time getting off the field, and that bodes well for a Steelers offense who's good at controlling the ball, whether we're throwing it or running it. We're pretty good at possessing it this year.
Especially at home. Over the past 3 home games, the Steelers have 124 points in 3 games. That's
Nice.
what, 41.3 a game or something like that?
Big Ben has
That's why they're due to lay an egg.
If Big Ben throws 4 touchdowns
Serious.
this week, he'll break a record held by Peyton Manning for the most touchdown passes over a 3-game home span in a single season.
What's the mark for? He needs to throw 5.
There's 15. He has 12 in his last 2 home games, so he only needs to throw 4 TDs.
Okay.
I could actually see that happening too.
He has 18 touchdowns at home this year and 6 on the road, so he's obviously playing way better at home.
Well, who's catching it then? Antonio?
Antonio's going to get one.
Is Heath going to be there at all?
Well, dude, Heath's our second leading receiver. Anybody who says Heath Miller is washed up, they don't even pay attention to what's going on with Pittsburgh, because he has 43 catches for 501 yards. I know he only has 2 TDs, but Brown has 9. So you got Brown, Heath, Bryant. Like you said, Lance Moore's probably going to have a big game this week.
And I think Lance Moore has got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to come out and say, hey, New Orleans, this is what you're missing.
Heath Miller has more receptions than the Saints' second leading receiver, Marcus Colston, but he's washed up.
Colston's been a bust this year, huh?
He actually had a good game last week with Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is done. He's not going to play anymore this year, so that was their number 1 receiver, which helps. But Kenny Stills has stepped into the number 2 role, and he looks just as good. And Colston seen more looks last week with Cooks out, and he looked pretty good too. But yeah, you're right. He is on the downslope of his career. But if you look, Colston still has 618 yards receiving. So if you think about it, there's 5 games left. He can still get over 1,000 yards. It's not like he's worthless.
Well, let's hope he is Sunday.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I think Kenny Stills is the bigger threat out of the 2 receivers.
And he looks speedy, don't he?
Yes, he does. He's a big play threat, too, so you got to watch out.
Time.
The Steelers' defense is prone to let up 1 or 2 big plays a game.
Little double move from Stills, and you got Gay on his ass.
That's why Kenny Stills was so high in my fantasy rankings this week. I think he is pretty, not guaranteed, but I'm pretty sure he's going to score a touchdown this week.
Which of the 3 defensive players that are coming back do you think will have the biggest impact on this game, Dash?
I think it's Troy Polamalu, to tell you the truth.
You know, I was a big Will Allen fan, but I don't think he played as well as I had hoped whenever Polamalu got hurt.
I mean, we know Polamalu isn't the same kind of player he was early in his career, but you looked when he got hurt, it definitely showed a difference in our defense.
Yeah. And, you know, it could have ended up being a blessing in disguise. He got some time off in the middle of the year. We still didn't drop a lot of games or anything in his absence. Got the bye week. He's going to be fresh going into this stretch run and for the playoffs.
Yeah, if he's completely 100% healthy and rested, this could be a great thing for the Steelers.
Well, Dash, we're going to do our 3 keys to victory here now. We're each going to give 1 key to victory. It adds up to 3. If you don't know how to count and you need an abacus, I can get you one. So what's your key to victory?
I'm going to say my key to victory, it's off the grid a little bit. You're not going to stop Drew Brees, so let's stop their running game, stop Mark Ingram, and make them pass the ball and maybe force Brees into a mistake just by quantity.
Easy?
Don't let Roethlisberger get sacked. It's going to have to be protection. To win this game, they're going to have to keep Roethlisberger safe. They're going to have to keep him. His head's going to have to be on finding receivers and not trying to find a lane for him not to get pounded into the ground by the defensive line or their linebackers. So it's protection.
Dash, I'm going to go a little bit of the opposite of you. You think that it's important to force the Saints to pass and stop the run game.
I didn't really say that. Don't force them to pass. Just that you know you're not going to stop the pass, so stop the run at least.
All right, well, I think that they need to focus on Jimmy Graham. He's obviously their biggest offensive weapon right now. With Shazier coming back and Troy coming back, if you can neutralize him and force one of the other players to beat you, you have world's better chance of winning that football game. Jimmy Graham is a freak specimen out on the field. He can do some crazy things at the tight end position that no other player can.
PPR beast.
PPR beast.
Number 1 tight end this week.
Yeah, so if they can neutralize him and stop him, the Saints don't have much more behind them, I don't think. And I don't see them running for 200 yards on us, although we don't have the run defense of a few years ago. That's not going to happen.
So you're taking a big dump on my fantasy rankings is what you're saying.
No, I'm not saying he is going to play bad. I'm saying that I hope that's how to beat the Saints. You take him out of the game and then take a dump on your fantasy.
So let's get the winners here. Who's going to win this game?
Go ahead, Easy. You're first, homie.
New Orleans 24, Pittsburgh 20.
Wow.
Ooh.
The shocker. You're usually the Yinzer of the group.
Not this week. They're gonna be flat. This bye week's they're gonna be flat.
You don't like their record coming off the bye?
I
6-1.
love their record coming off the bye, but you know what? The games I think they're supposed to win, they lose. The games they're supposed to win, that BS. Drew Brees is just gonna light them up. Sorry.
What do you think, Dash?
What I think is, let's take a look at their last 3 games, which was all losses at home. San Francisco put up 27 on them. San Francisco is not a good offense. Cincinnati put up 27 on them. They're not the greatest offense. Baltimore put 34 up on them. They're not the greatest offense. I think Pittsburgh is the best offense out of these 4 teams, and the Pittsburgh
Especially at
Steelers
home.
put up 35 to 40 points this game and win.
Final score prediction.
I am going to say 42-31.
Large.
Big time.
Living.
I think the Steelers, just like you, Dash, I think they have a big day on offense. I think Ben has another big day. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 4 touchdowns and break Peyton Manning's record. Breeze will keep pace with him up until the fourth quarter. I think the defense forces Breeze into a mistake somewhere, in the middle fourth quarter towards the end. And I think Pittsburgh squeaks out a win 45-42.
Ooh, 87 points.
Living
Take
large
the over.
again.
Over.
I don't know about that weather. Check out weather report.
Hey,
If it's sloppy, they ain't putting up 80 combined.
if it's sloppy, that just means the ball's going to be slipping out of everybody's hands. They're going to be taking fumbles back to the house.
You're sloppy.
I remember one year in fantasy, everybody wakes up early Sunday. They look at the weather, and there's like 2 feet of snow in New England. So everybody takes Tom Brady and Wes Welker and Randy Moss out of their lineup, and they blow up for 50-some points.
Oh, yeah. Bad weather doesn't always equal bad play.
Right, you're right. You got me.
But sometimes it does, so I get your point, Easy. But thank you, fans, for listening. Thanks, Easy. Thanks, Dash, for sitting in. Love talking Steelers with you guys. It's the highlight of my week every week. Dash working hard producing this show. You're the key to this show, the keystone in the Keystone State. Without you, we just kind of collapse. You can follow us on Twitter, fans, at bet_the_spread. Check out that Facebook page. We're always posting new stuff for you. Subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Go Steelers.
Please believe.